Yo, what's good, y'all? Marcus back for another little, like a morning slow flow type of session. This is basically just like my morning routine. It's what I do in the morning, or if I don't get to practice all day and I get home at night and I'm like, my body's feeling the aches of moving around and doing things. I'll usually do this in the evening if I haven't gotten to it in the morning. So it's kind of my consistent daily just to like work the kinks out of my body. Some simple movements, but some stuff that I find is kind of well-oiled maintenance, if you will. So 2 blocks and a blanket will be helpful for this practice. So grab those if you don't have them nearby already. And then we're going to start off lying down on our back. If you prefer a supported back bend in a different way, you can always take a second option. The option that I like is often supported bridge pose. Both feet down, hips lift, block comes under the low back. If you like a different supported back bend, you're welcome to take it. But know that bridge pose will be the back bend that we will start our movement in today. So with that in mind, I would also recommend coming to the low setting in your bridge pose on your block. If you have a soft block, that helps for what we're gonna do. There's a little bit of movement that I find goes a little better with a softer block. So once you get yourself set up, block under the hips. Let your hips rest down into your block. Take a deep breath in. Exhale everything out. Let your lungs empty. Try that again. Inhaling deeply, filling your lungs up. And exhale, completely empty your lungs. And one more time. All the way in. And all the way out. Beautiful. Let your hips sink heavily into your block. Let your shoulders rest on your mat. Start to find a rhythm for your breath that's a little longer than your natural rhythm. Something you can sustain for our practice. If it's morning or evening and you like to use your Ujjayi technique, you're welcome to call that in, toning your throat, and creating a simple sound like you were fogging a mirror on your exhale and removing the fog with your inhale, but continuing to breathe through your nose with your lips sealed as you do this. Next time you inhale, lift your legs up towards the ceiling. Cross your right knee over top of your left, and as you cross the legs, wrap your right ankle towards the back of your left leg. If you can find eagle legs and fully cross and wrap the legs, that'll work as well. And then pull the knees in close to your chest. Feel the stretch on your outer right hip. Now, if the knees or if the legs won't latch all the way, you can just cross at the knees. And as you bend, try to keep the knees stacked as you pull the knees in close to your chest. Breathe here. Deeply in, use the pace for your breath that you found, and deeply out. Option to inhale deeply and press the knees away gently. Exhale, completely pull your knees back in. One more time like that if you like. And exhale, knees in. Unravel your legs. And switch. Cross your left knee on top of your right knee this time. As the knees stack, you can wrap the eagle legs on this side if it's accessible. And if you find that, knees draw into the chest as you exhale. Take a few breaths to let this settle into your right hip before you start the movement and pulsing back and forth with your breath. And as you pulse back and forth, be sure to engage your core. So draw in the low belly in and keep the low back stable. Inhale, your knees forward. Exhale, knees in. Inhale, knees forward. Squeeze your knees to the center line. Exhale, knees in. Inhale, forward, last time. Exhale, draw your knees in. Unravel your legs. Take a moment to wiggle your toes. Circle through your ankles. And once you're ready, bend your knees. Place your feet on your mat and lift your hips. Move your props off to the side. Lower your back down to the mat. As you come down, you can find one of your blocks or a blanket. Place it between your knees. Hug your knees close towards your chest. And take your arms out to a T. Inhale deeply. Exhale your knees over to the right. Let your left shoulder stay on the ground. You could even look over at your left hand. One more breath here. In deep. And out complete. Inhale, lift your knees up. Exhale your knees over to the left. Gaze can look over towards the right hand. And finding 3 deep breaths on this side. Last breath in. And a full exhale out. Inhale, lift your knees up. And place your block off to the side. Okay. Gentle little spinal movement. And however you like to roll your way up to a seat, whether that's back and forth, over to the side, make your way up to a seated position. As you come to a seat, I highly recommend sitting up on a block. Elevating your hips above your knees when sitting on the ground goes a long way to keep your knees from aching. If you follow me on Instagram, you might know why I made that reference. If you do, send me your thoughts, or even just, a response to that. DM, email, I think it might be interesting. Either way, as you come to sit on something, let your sit bones rest down onto whatever you've chosen to sit on. Notice I haven't really offered the option to not sit on anything. So unless you're a very advanced practitioner and you always sit on the ground and you can sit up tall easily for a long period of time, please sit on something. Lift your arms up. With your arms lifted, point your palms to the ceiling. Open your hands super wide. I do this to warm up my fingers and wrists. I like to rock climb and do other interesting stuff with my hands, like stand on them. So this helps me warm my wrists up so that I don't injure myself and my wrists throughout the day. As you open your palms to the ceiling, inhale deeply, exhale completely. Find the rhythm for your breath first. I find that helps. And then start to close your wrists and point your wrists forward. So as you curl your wrists forward, they'll reach an end point where they can't go forward anymore. And then open your palms, spread your fingers, palms to the ceiling. And then curl in the fists. Point your fist forward, going back and forth between this open hand position and this tight fist curled position. And you might start out really slow, and then you might go a little faster. But as the hands move faster, can your breath move at the same pace? All right, fast you can go for 3, 2, 1. There it is. Let your arms fall to your sides. Shake out your shoulders. You also get a nice little shoulder warm up. All right, from there, take your wrists, go in all directions. Just a little more of that forearm tension and getting those last few kinks out. Once you're done, elbows together, interlace your fingers. Figure 8 roll through your wrists. So same thing, just with the wrists together. Change directions. And I usually feel that this gets like my wrist nice and warm for whatever I decide to do today. So whether it's climbing, whether it's handstanding, pull-ups, cooking, garden work, that's a good one. Housework, all that stuff. Like anything you do, typing on a computer a lot even. Sit at a computer, do a lot of computer work, typing, or being on the phone all day. Like stuff where you use your hands a lot all day in any one way. It's a great way to just kind of get the wrists and hands and fingers moving. So now let's transition off of our block into a tabletop position with the wrists warm. This hopefully feels pretty decent on the wrist. As you come to your tabletop, spread your fingers wide and press firmly into the ground. Take a few circles just to check in with the wrists. If they feel good, I'd say, take a couple circles and then move on. If not, take as many circles as you like. Like so, okay, my right wrist just said, hey, warm me up a little bit more. So I'm gonna take a few more circles. Just going back and forth. And as I'm doing this, I'm gripping through my fingertips to engage the forearm muscles, the little tiny muscles that draw through my fingers and my wrists and my hands. Because as I'm trying to get that to turn on, it will often stabilize my wrist. And then, the little like points where I was like, huh. And I wouldn't say I felt pain, but just a little discomfort. Like I wouldn't have wanted to take more weight on it. That alleviates some of that feeling as the muscles warm up and are prepared to take more weight. So as you do that, to each their own, you figure out what you're comfortable with. Once you're done with your hands, tuck your toes under like so. And sit back on your heels. The closer your feet are together, the more pressure your toes will feel. As you sit back, you might have gone back and been like, that's not possible. I can't do that, Marcus. That's okay. Start slow. One hand at a time. Maybe the hands stay on the ground. And maybe you take a block or a blanket, block between the feet, blanket on top of the feet. And that will elevate your seat, less pressure. And then you can also keep the hands down. So you might be in some variation here. You might also take that and then find that maybe your weight makes it all the way back up. Eventually, maybe you don't need your blanket anymore. And you come to sit directly on your heels with your toes. Either way, the discomfort of having your toes tucked under is often one thing that I think is unique to most people. So if you've been here too long already, let yourself out of it. If you do this often, like myself, and you're like, I can hang out here for a little bit, come back in. I think a good philosophy to follow, and we will be here for a little bit for this video, so work your way in and out as you need to. Follow the philosophy, though, of do less, stay longer. So I'm not at my end range of how deep I can go into this. Even though I'm sitting all the way on my heels, I could go further. But if I did, I wouldn't be able to stay as long. So for me, I found a happy medium where I can sit here, I can talk, I can breathe. Hopefully you're breathing with me. And this is, reasonable. And even if I've been here for a little bit, if I decide to go a little further, pull my knees in, slide them forward, there's some more, but I'm still in a reasonable area. So, like I said, gauge yourself, be gentle, take a breath, and slowly walk your hands forward. Oh yes, that feels so lovely to me usually. All right. Point the toes, wiggle them out. Take the feet to the left. Take the feet to the right. All right. Take your knees wide. Bring your big toes together. And let your hips go back in a circle. And then let them continue along that circle. Nice and slow, but making it very large. You're welcome to bring a blanket under your knees, and I'll go ahead and do that now because I do find that brings quite a bit of comfort to this. For my knees, 30 and over crew, most of y'all understand what that means. All right. And then when you're ready, change directions. And not when you're ready, but I'd say after about 5 circles in one direction. Okay. Now go back the first way. Go a little slower. See if you can feel the point where you could squeeze your butt and press your hips forward a little more, but can you keep your core on? And then take it to the left, keep your core on as you draw back. And now from here, go to the left, or the other direction. Can you squeeze your butt, keep your core on, hips come forward, and then over to the other side as you come back. Just a little experiment. All right, roll it up. Just a little core warmth before we move into the next part. So from here, we're actually going to take our blanket back off of our mat, swing our legs around in front of us, and lie back down. Core work time. To turn this up and make it spicy, grab a block. I'm gonna show you stages just so that anyone can have accessibility here. Stage 1, core work. Block between the knees, toes pointed, arms either back, goalposts, or out. And from any of these positions, this is probably the most challenging. Medium, low. From any of those positions, squeeze your belly and ribs in until you feel your spine pressing down towards your mat with your toes pointed. Inhale, take your toes forward. Keep your spine on the mat as you tap your toes. Exhale, knees draw close to your chest. And again, inhale. Exhale, knees in. Drive the knees with your breath. Exhaling to drive the knees in. Inhaling the toes forward. And one more time. Now, if you said, hey, that was nice, but I want to do something a little more challenging, that's great. We'll do another round of 5 and you'll have that opportunity. Before you do that, though, consider if you could do that first round with great integrity and your spine stayed down, ribs and core stayed engaged all the time. The answer is yes. The option to go on, we're going to remove the block. And for those of us that do not want to go on, you can do the same exercise, but we'll do 6 reps this time instead of 5. Arms can go back. This time legs go up for those of us who want something more challenging. Draw your core and belly in. Keep your spine pressing down to the mat. On the inhale, right leg lowers. Exhale, lift your right leg. Inhale, left leg lowers. Exhale, lift. 2 more on each side. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, lift. Inhale, left. Exhale, lift. If you're still doing the first one, you should be going on each breath. Inhale, right. Exhale, lift. Press your shoulders down for a bonus. Inhale, left. Exhale, lift and keep your legs straight. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, lift. Inhale, left leg. Exhale, lift. Nicely done. Hug your knees in, give yourself a moment, and we'll go on to round 3. Now, round 3, option to do either of the versions from round 2. Step it up, step it down, whatever you like to do. If you want to step it up one more level, option to grab a block. Place it between your feet and squeeze that block with your feet like it was holding all of your most valuable possessions. Maybe that's just your phone, I don't know. As you squeeze it though, reach your arms back, goalpost or out to a T, and inhale. Take both legs forward. Yes, you heard it. Now, whenever your spine starts to come up, this one a different cue. If your spine starts to lift, pause there, squeeze your block, and lift your legs back up together. Yes. All right, 4 more. Inhale. Legs go forward. Squeeze your block. If you squeeze the block, you might take your legs more forward. And then exhale, lift. Oh, beautiful. Last 3. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Ooh, yes, and 2 more. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Keep the spine down. You got it. Last time. Squeeze that block as you go forward. Exhale, lift your block up. Grab it in your hands. Bring your feet to the ground. Place your block to the side. Yes. Golden stuff. If you feel a little heat in your midsection and you like it, you can dance with it a little bit. You can shake your hips left to right. Swing. And relax your hips down. All right. One more core work. This time, just the 2 variations. We'll only do 3 to each side of this variation.
I find these pretty challenging, but I find them very, very helpful for the movement
that I explore in the rest of my day. I realized I was lying down and talking. Probably wasn't best for you to hear me. But this is transverse abdominals. So the oblique muscles, whoa, that is not correct. This is for the oblique muscles. What we just did got into our transverse abdominis, that low, deep core muscle. What we're gonna do now, we'll get into our obliques. That's the side body muscles. Now, with this particular practice, a block is helpful, especially if it's new. Do not consider how close your legs get to the ground. Instead, consider if your shoulders remain on the ground.
Lie down, place your block between your knees. Version 1. Arms out to a T, palms down. Squeeze your block in close. Inhale deeply. Exhale your knees to the right. Just the furthest you'll go is the knees tapping. If your left shoulder starts to lift, press it down, hold your block there, and then squeeze it. Inhale, lift your knees up. Exhale your knees to the left. Press your right shoulder down. Reach over to the left with your block. Maybe you get close to the ground. Maybe your knee touches. On the inhale, either way, lift your block up. Now, if you find one shoulder is floating more than the other, that'll be the side that needs a little more mobility, maybe a little more strength. So figure out what your range of motion is and be honest with yourself. When I say honest, that means the shoulders stay down the whole time. If you want more because the shoulders stay down easily just now, or if you just feel like your core likes more, but you're aware enough to limit the range of motion to where your shoulders can stay down, the option is to explore extending your legs, placing your block back between your legs, and as you squeeze your block here, palms down, inhale center, exhale, legs to the right, squeeze your block, squeeze, 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 beautiful, inhale, lift your legs up. Oh yes, now that is core work. Exhale to the left and squeeze. Press your right shoulder down, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Inhale, lift your legs up. Exhale, legs to the right. Last time. Always the option to bend the knees. Inhale, legs up. Exhale, legs to the left. Inhale, legs up. And bend the knees. Place your blocks to the side. Relax your feet down to the ground. And you can either lie flat or take a bound angle. If the soles of the feet have come together and the knees are wide, option to support your knees with blocks is always there anytime you're in bound angle. In any class or any practice. If you like to let out a deep sigh from your mouth, you're welcome to. Now once you feel like you settled, go ahead and rebend your knees. Plant your feet. Either rock and roll up to a seat or roll over to one side. And as you come up to a seat, we will figure our way into a 90-90 seat. Now we'll get into the fun stuff. And this is some of the new work that I've been working on, but when I say I find this interesting, I mean like this is the stuff I've been nerding out on lately. I'm quite excited to share this with you, so hopefully you like it too. For this setup, have found that putting out a blanket across my mat in a wide format is helpful, just for the sake of my knees, and because I have pretty long legs, rather large lower body in dimension, so having the extra space just helps quite a bit. Now, once you have your setup for wherever you're going to do this at, we are going to sit. Let's do right leg in front first, just so that you all are able to see what my back leg is doing pretty easily. But take your right leg and sit on your right hip, knee bent in front of you, and you're going to take your left leg behind you. Now, sitting like this is like a no-go. I would say this is one of those parts of the video where it's like, okay, you could instead work on your figure 4 on your back here, placing a block under your foot or holding this in, and then just switch when we switch sides. And I think a long hold in that could be
equally as good for some of the work that we're gonna do. There's other active things that I think I'll get into, but it'll probably be more like in a chair yoga video. So keep an eye out for that. For now, right hip in front of you, right shin parallel to the front edge of the mat. As you get here, look at your right hip and line up your right thigh with the long edge of your mat while your shin is lined up with the short edge of the mat. Once you do that, you will likely find that your hip creates a 90-degree angle, or your leg creates a 90-degree angle coming out of your hip. Flex your foot so that there's another 90-degree angle here. And then with this back hip, this is a little trickier to see, but I trust you all. You're gonna try to find that same 90-degree angle, but you're gonna start again from the hip. So notice this 90-degree angle right out of the hip. For this 90-degree angle to come right out of the hip, the thigh will be parallel to the short edge of the mat, and the shin will be parallel to the long edge. And then once you found that 90-degree angle, flex your foot. From here, many of us, or at least I know myself, I have like a C curve in my spine, so I'm like leaning over to the left a lot to sit up. Remove the C curve for a moment and just like find natural neutral spine. Like find your neutral position. And now push down into your knees and your feet. Feel your hips work. Just press down. And like press down firmly. Like I'm pushing pretty hard right now, and I feel my back hip internally rotating and my front hip externally rotating. So as I feel that, I actually also feel as I engage my core, I bring my pelvis a little bit more over my center without so much of the C curve coming out of my spine. And that allows me to then sit up over my legs directly. But this is because I'm engaging. If I let it go, oh, collapse. As soon as I push down, oof, space. Because of the internal rotation on this hip giving me space to sit up, and the external rotation on this hip grounding me down. Okay, from here, you could always keep the hands down, which sometimes I like to. It just depends on what kind of day I'm having with my hips. So don't be married to what it looks like. Be married to what it feels like. Ooh, that should be on a t-shirt maybe. All right, from there, sit up really tall. Knees press down, feet press down. Feel your hips really fire, and then inhale deeply, squeeze your belly and ribs in. Exhale, fold forward over your shin. For those of us feeling good in the hips and want to go a little further, inhale, come up. Try no hands. Exhale, fold, no hands. And one more time. Inhale up. And exhale, pressing down through the knees as you fold. Now wherever you get to, you can use your hands, but keep your spine really straight so belly and ribs are drawn in. Keep pressing the knees down and try to reach your chest forward, but without taking too much weight in your hands. So keeping the weight in your legs. Did that work for one more breath? All right. Ooh, yes. Feels so good. Okay. From there, next drill, back leg internal rotation. Lean over to the left to start just to see and explore this. Really engage your core so you can squeeze your right side body in to re-lengthen the two sides equally. And then I want you to see if you can push down into your back knee and lift your back foot up. See how difficult that feels? And then place it down. If you felt like that was really easy, come up to your hand, but keep it pretty far away so you still lean to the right. Squeeze your core in, press the knee down, and then again, see if you could pick your back foot up. Okay, place it down. And then maybe one more option is sitting upright. Fingertips, less weight in the hand, core and ribs drawn in, both knees pressed down, and then could you still pick your back foot up? Ooh, that's work, baby. And place it down. Oh yes. Are we done? No, not quite, almost. All right, lean back over to the right if you haven't, if you're not already lean, and try to stay right in line with your left thigh. So you want this whole left thigh to be right in line with your torso. From here, press the knees down. And then as you press both knees down, press your back foot down, pick your front foot up. Ooh. And then see if you can pick up the whole leg. Squeeze your core and place it down. Lift it up again. Maybe you could come up a little higher. And place it down. One more time. This time do foot first. And then whole leg. And place it down. Ooh, yes, the good stuff. If you want one more stretch, which I usually do, come back up. I use my hands usually for the last one, just for a good alignment and balance. Knees pressed down, and just fold out over your shin one more time. Sit up, and we'll switch sides. Left leg comes to the front, right leg sweeps behind you. And then again, lying up from the hips. So you might see me like, if I sat here, we got like a 7 shape from my hip, not a 90-degree angle. Once I move my hip in line with my knee and line up with my mat, 90-degree angle. Now this is the tighter side, so I have a much larger C-curve on this side, so you'll see me use more hand support. You should do the same. I offer that cue and support for you to use it, not for you to try to avoid it. So use it where you need it. As you set up your 90-90 angles, out of the back hip, out of the front hip, press down through your knees and feet. Feel that work on the other side. Notice that if it's the tighter side, maybe it's a lot more effort that you feel like you're exerting. I know I do. Breathe. Squeeze your core. Okay, from here, inhale deeply. Exhale, fold over your front shin. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up. And for the last time, exhale, fold. Inhale up. And once again, we are going to lean over to our side. This time, lean to the left. Check on your 90-90 angles. And once you're all set, press down through both knees. Press down through your front foot and then lift your back foot up. And place it down. Exhale, lift it up. Ugh. My knee on my mat. That was not friendly. It's not knee friendly when you miss the mat with your knees. Trust me on that. Don't try it. And place your back foot down if it's still floating. That was a long one. Good for you. And last time, inhale, foot up. Hold it. Hold it. And place it down. Okie dokie. Back to the front leg. One more time. Oh, I forgot. If we didn't try it sitting up on this side, definitely try one sitting up. So go ahead and press the knees down. I was like, whoa, why'd that feel so easy? I forgot one. And ooh, there it is. Oh yes, that's what we want. Okay, all right. And place it down. Okay, now we're ready for real. Back down to the elbow. Whoosh. Now remember, as you press down into your back leg, you create internal rotation. That'll create a little space as you're trying to get this front leg to lift. So back leg is firmly pressing down. Start with the front knee pressing down. And then can you lift just the front foot as you engage your core, squeeze your ribs in, and then lift the whole leg and place it down. Ooh, okay. One more time, foot first, and then the whole leg. And then place it down. And last time. This time, whole leg lifts. Ooh. And hold it. And hold it. And place it down. Ooh, yes. Try one a little bit more seated if you wanted to. But only if, for me that's like unreasonable on this side. So I usually just might take an extra round on the lower version with really good integrity in my core and really good activity in my hips. So I open my hip that's a little weaker and tighter rather than just trying to strain it going too far. Once you're set, here's what we're gonna attempt. If your hips like Agni Sambhasana, logs on the fire, close to lotus, something like that, go for it. If I'm saying this and you either don't know what I'm talking about or you're like, no, they don't like that, you can go take that option from earlier for figure 4 on your back or seated figure 4. So I'll show you seated figure 4 in a second. First, though, for those of you still sitting in 90-90, take your right leg, cross it over your left, logs on the fire. Okay. Gentle flex to the feet. And again, you want sit bones on the ground. So you want to press the knees down, the bottom knee, just like we were. And you, not like firmly. In this, you want the hips to kind of open. So if you're seeing that, like you see my top knee is like really, really high. First thing, take your bottom foot, move it closer to you. Press down and sit bones, squeeze your core. As you sit up, if there's stretches in your right hip, I think you're in good shape, but you could always support a high right knee if it's that high. Especially if you're going to stay here for a while, which we are not today. What are we going to do? Mother, practice from here. Just take a couple rounds of opening out of Agni Sambhasana with no hands, if you could, and then closing. And if you need hands, try to use them to help you sit up rather than using them on your leg. So, or something like this. Rather than, you get me? Try one more if you've been trying it. If you haven't tried it, maybe try it. And then just with no hands, see if you can switch the other side into your Agni Sambhasana. If you are in your figure 4, switch sides. Oh yes, sirree. Just the good stuff right here. Okay, same thing. Just a few opens and closes. Again, I said this is good for first thing in the morning, get the hips awake and moving and open and mobile. Or at night, if you haven't done much and you've like been walking around or sitting, working, you haven't given the hips any attention, any love, same thing, helps you sleep a little better, I find. For myself, helps me sleep better when my body's been moved, when I've worked out some of the kinks. Always welcome to take an extra rep on the weak side, on the side that needs more work. Oh, yes. And then unravel yourself. Unwind yourself and roll yourself out onto your mat. Oof, onto your back. Right into Shavasana. If there are poses that you like to end your practice with, now would be the time. It's at night, you're settling down for bed. You're welcome to take Shavasana in the bed or take legs up the wall to down regulate. It's the morning, you're preparing for your day. Maybe you sit up to meditate. Whatever you do, take a few moments of stillness
and allow the rest of your day to begin from that stillness.
Thank you all so much for joining me. Appreciate your time, your energy, and your practice. Namaste.